Hello, in this short video, I am going to discuss the cost of unemployment using Okun's law, and then I'll give you a simple example how to calculate cost of unemployment using Okun's law. So Okun's law, so this law simply shows that for every 1% of cyclical unemployment. So if we have 1% cyclical unemployment in the country, an economy's GDP is 2.5% below its potential GDP. And by potential, I mean full employment GDP. So whenever you have 1% unemployment rate, then your actual GDP is 2.5% less than the potential GDP. So the difference between actual and potential GDP is called GDP gap. So GDP gap would be 2.5 times cyclical unemployment times GDP. So if cyclical unemployment is 1%, it means 2.5% of the actual current GDP would be the gap between the actual GDP and potential GDP. Let me take an example and show you how to calculate cost of unemployment using Okun's law. So this is a simple example. Let me read the question first. Given a natural rate of unemployment, and by natural rate of unemployment, I mean frictional and structural unemployment of 6.5%, an actual rate of 11%. By actual unemployment rate or actual rate, I mean all unemployment rates, that is frictional, structural, and cyclical. The 11% is not cyclical unemployment, it is overall unemployment rate. That includes all three types of unemployment: frictional, structural, and cyclical. And we also know that natural rate of unemployment is 6.5%. So using these two numbers, I can easily calculate cyclical unemployment. That is 11% minus 6.5%, that is 4.5% is cyclical unemployment in this country. The real GDP, by real GDP, I mean I'm calculating GDP and excluding the price effect. So I'm just removing the price effect in the GDP, nominal GDP, to get real GDP. So real GDP is $1,000 billion. These are fictitious numbers, and I just take just to simplify the calculation. The calculation is much easier if we use these numbers. Calculate the cost of unemployment. Now, if you see here, and according to Okun's law, an actual GDP is 2.5% less than the potential of full employment GDP for 1% of cyclical unemployment. This is Okun's law. I know we have 4.5% cyclical unemployment. So if the cyclical unemployment is 4.5%, that I calculated subtracting 6.5% NRU from actual unemployment rate 11%, I get 4.5%. So the GDP gap will be 11.25%. How do I know? I simply multiply by 2.5%. So 2.5 times 4.5, I get 11.25%. That is the gap between actual GDP and potential GDP must be 11.25% of actual GDP. So I know that the actual or real GDP, actual real GDP or current GDP, real GDP is 1,000 billion. So I just calculate 11.25% of 1,000. So which I get $112.5 billion. So basically, $112.5 billion is the cost of 4.5% cyclical unemployment. That is, we are short of $1,112.5 billion reaching, to the full employment. That is the cost of 4.5 cyclical unemployment will be $112.5 billion. So if you add this $112.5 billion to the actual GDP, that would be your potential GDP. So if you have, just give me a second. If you have, let's say, so if you have 1,000, if you have 1,000, this $1,000 here, billion dollars, if you just add this 112.5 billion dollar, that is $1,112.5 billion, that would be your potential GDP or full employment GDP. So if you had zero cyclical unemployment, then the country's GDP would have been at full employment. That is 1,100 or 1,112.5 billion dollars. So because of this 4.5% cyclical unemployment, we are unable to produce $112.5 billion worth of goods and services. So that's all. Thank you.